Hello world, Stephen Michael Zach here, and today we're taking a look at two brand new lights from Colbor. Now, over here we have the Colbor, this is the CL60R, this is their RGB 60 watt light, and here we have the CL60, this is their bicolor light. Now the bicolor will cost you $150 and the RGB will cost you $200 at the time of the recording of this video. We're also going to be checking out the additional V-mount adapter, which is the VM2. Now, and this will cost you about $15. Now, I did buy all of this with my own money, so these are going to be my own brutal and honest opinions as always. So, let's take a look at what comes inside the box. My own brutal and honest opinions as always. This is new to me. Okay, so inside the box, we are first going to be greeted with this very bizarre warning that says, do not block the cob or turn the product upside down for the high temperature generated by the cob when the product is working. Something about turning this upside down, not really sure what this is about, but we will, so there you go. User beware. And yes, again, there is, to let you know, there is a cell phone app. When you open the box, you'll be greeted by the case itself here. And with the case, this is a very, very nice handle. It is a semi-soft case, semi-hard case. You do get little loopies on the sides. So yes, there is a strap. There's no plastic feet or anything. Everything is very cubical, very nice. You get the Colbor logo on the bottom there. Zipper feels okay. It's not the best in the world. It's only okay. But inside, you're going to get a place you're going to get a mesh little pocket here, and that will hold the very, very, very nylon strap here. So you are going to get a strap with little clippies. And you're going to get the instructions, a Bowens mount dish, a Bowens mount adapter. This is powered by a USB Type-C to wall plug. You're going to get an all-metal mount, and you're going to get the light with a cap itself. And this pretty much looks like a camera bag inside. Okay, so let's talk construction. Now, first off, you're going to get this very nice rubber cap here. Very, very, very cool. And it looks like the COB is not covered with glass, or if it is, it's very flat against the COB. But this thing is made out of all metal. You have these little ball things on the side here that press in to lock this into position. You're going to get a female channel on the top and bottom, and male channels on both sides. Swinging around to the back, you're going to get these jog dials that press in, and you're going to get all these little buttons here, your USB Type-C plug, and unfortunately, this is not a hard on-off switch. This is a push-button on-off switch. The dish is one of the new the reflector is one of the new kinds of reflectors, and there will most likely be a hotspot and multiple shadowing with this. And you do get an open concept Bowens mount. This is very plasticky, so there you go, there you have it. And of course you do get the metal mount, which again, made of all metal. You do get a ratchet handle here, and this is not a disc system, this is a ratchet system. So let's go ahead and put this thing together. It is very, very, very simple. I really like the fact that there is this little knob here, which actually pushes this piece in, which actually offsets this, and that is how it locks in. Very, very, very cool. Let's go ahead and lock that up, and we'll go ahead and slide that in, and we'll turn the knob, and once that is turned enough, there we go, that's not going anywhere. Next, we'll take our Bowens mount. Now, there are multiple ways to do this. I specifically like this way. You can put the Bowens mount on and then the dish, but I find sometimes that when you put the Bowens mount on, sometimes it slides a little too far. So you want to slide this on. Just to give you an idea, there is a little piece that pops out the back here. So what I like to do is I like to actually lock in my dish first and then situate this right and push it straight down, and you're good to go. Now, if we are running on V-mount battery, I really do like this lock here. You just kind of slide this on like so, and then there's a little flippy thing right down here, which locks it into place, and it is not going anywhere. Okay, so let's take a look at the controls. Now, first, you are going to hold the button for a few seconds, and it will spring to life. And let's check out the screen itself. The screen is not bad. Only on extreme angles do you start to actually lose the screen. So that is something to be aware of. Now let's take a look at the controls here. Now you do have on here your Bluetooth is active. You have your fan and it will tell you whether this is transmitting or receiving. We'll go into that. Now the top jog dial here does control the power, and of course it has quick sets like 25, 50, 75, and 100. And of course you can move up in increments of 1. And going down to the bottom jog dial, you got 2700 right here. Press it again, you get 32, 40, 56, and 65. Now what I love about this is the fact that you can actually go down in either 100 or 50 increments. So I can actually get this to 4850, which is what I shoot in on my camera. So very cool, a lot of flexibility here. Next, we're going to go into the menu mode, and you have your Bluetooth reset. You have 2 fan modes, smart and quiet. Leave it on smart. Then you have your group. This means you can assign these lights to a specific group, kind of like GVM's master slave mode. That's kind of how it works, and I believe there are like 15 channels of each. Moving down, now you have the control here. Now right now this is set to both transmit and receive, but we can go ahead and press that in, the bottom one in, and we could turn this to transmit or receive depending on which light you want to control the other lights. We'll just leave it alone here. And then we do have a repeat function. Now, when this is on, this will go back to the setting that it is initially, the last setting it was initially set to. So that is very, 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 very cool that you can do that. Moving down, now we have the curve. Now, yes, in a firmware update, you will be able, hopefully, to control the curve of this light. Right now, you are stuck at linear. I have not updated the firmware. This is my out-of-the-box experience. So right now, you are just stuck with the linear curve. And then you get this smooth or this sharp. Now, what that does is when you go ahead and let's go into the CCT, we left it on sharp. Say we want to just shut this off. It'll sharply shut off like that. But let's go down back to 1% here. So say we want to go in here again, and say we want to go to smooth, and let's go back to the CCT, and let's go ahead and do that again. And you are going to get a very nice fade, which is pretty cool. Of course, then you have your English language and your product information. Moving on to the special effects. Now, when you press rate, you get 5 different levels of each special effect. And the special effects are as follows. You get your TV mode, you get your flash mode, explosion, faulty bulb, welding, strobe, lightning, SOS, your fire, CCT chase, and pulsing. And yes, you can run this off of V-mount from full power to no power at all. It all works on one V-mount battery. Very, very cool. Okay, so here we are with the RGB version, and you can tell the difference because the front is all black, and yes, there is a protective glass over the RGB one to let you know. And of course, the only other thing to distinguish it is this lovely, lovely, lovely RGB strip here, letting you know that this is an RGB light. Now, everything inside the box is pretty much the same here, but the controls are slightly different and slightly better. Holding down the button once again, we will fire the light up, and we will go into CCT mode, and everything about the light is pretty much the same. The controls are a bit different here. Now the top dial will select your menu. You'll go from CCT to dim, and let's go ahead and now press the bottom button here, and let's go to 1% so I don't blind you. And now something that this has that the bicolor doesn't have is a plus minus green. And you access that by jogging down the top dial and pressing in this. And let's go ahead and add some magenta. So we go down to minus. And this goes from plus 10 to minus 10. And we'll give you a little light so you can see what that looks like. And there you go. That does green and magenta light fairly well. And again, this has the same range as the other one. Nothing is different here. Now going into effects, you do have a police light here. And again, you have a little party RGB here. And then you get pretty much the same. There is kind of a splash of color here. So there are like maybe 3 more special effects which you can sort of use. They're okay, they're not great. Pressing the mode button again, we go back into the CCT. Now pressing it one more time, we go into the RGB mode, and it is here that I am actually quite impressed. The RGB mode is nice. Again, you use the menu the same way. Let's go to my favorite hue here. And there are quick button presses. You go to 60 to 120 to 180 to 240, which is my favorite blue, and to 300, which is sort of a pink here. And pressing that again, we go to 0, which is red. So you do get basically a red gel, a green gel, an even greener gel, teal gel, then you get your blue gel, and then you get your kind of purplish pink gel, and then your red. So very cool that this does actually have some quick functions to get closer to where you want to go. I really do like that. Okay, so here we are with the dish on, and as you can see, there is a super bright hot spot that is indicative of this kind of modern dish here, modern reflector. And as you can see, there is some ringing to the outside. There is a ring shadow right here. So there you go. There you have it. That is with the dish on. Now with the dish off, we get a very, very, very nice light. But again, you do see a very little bit of ring, probably not showing up on video, but it looks pretty good. There is a little bit of fall off, but it is not bad. I'm going to go ahead and take the Bowens mount off and see if that helps, because that actually might be helping to do that, be causing that. So there you go. There are the ends of the beam there. So not bad at all. Okay, so here we are. I have the RGB on top and the bicolor on the bottom. Let's take a look at their master slave mode here. First off, I'm going to set the bottom. We're going to take a group of the bicolor and we'll make that group, let's go to group A. Then we'll go down and we'll say transmit. Go back to CCT. Now we'll go on the RGB version on top here. Hit set. And in the group, we're going to go down to, we're going to go to A, and then go down and turn that to RX, which is receive. And now when we change the bottom, the top will change with it, which is very, very, very cool. So there you go. That is the very simple master slave mode. Now let's talk pros and cons, and I am going to use my cheat sheet here because there is a lot to unpack. Let me start with the bicolor version. Now first off, there is really no glass on the COB. That is missing. The yoke on both, unfortunately, are a ratchet yoke, so you are going to have a hard time pointing exactly where you want it to go. And the jog dials here on this one are very, very, very easy to accidentally hit, and I'll show you what I mean. They are very kind of loosey-goosey. They're not solid at all. They're kind of, for lack of a better word, cheap. So let's say you're at 25% and you just accidentally brush it. I can just accidentally brush it very lightly and change things. So that is kind of a downside. Also, when you move the screen at extreme angles, you do lose the screen a bit. It's not terrible, but you do lose the screen. The other thing is putting the Bowens mount on. I'm not a fan of these kind of Bowens mount. I do not like this kind of, you know, proprietary with the prongs here. These tend to bend and break because I did that to my Amarans. And the mount itself is pretty much plastic. Do not drop it. Again, I'm not a fan of the open concept Bowens mount. I really wish this were like a closed, Bowens mount where I could just snap it on and then hook this on like a normal Bowens mount. Not crazy about the open style here. Let's talk special effects. Now the special effects here are pretty bad. They are just very, very, very flickery, especially the fire. The fire does not work well. And also with some of these special effects, you are locked into the color that it is. Sometimes you have color control, sometimes you don't. I really wish I had color control. I would love to do like red lightning. That would be very cool. Unfortunately, on this, you cannot do that. Also, yes, this does have 5 different rates or levels. They're all just kind of very fast flickery. So hopefully in a firmware update, they'll be able to fix that because as of right now, these are pretty useless. And another thing about the light is that there is no studio mode. So, and unfortunately, you do not have a hard power button. You have this press button. So yes, this will not be replacing my Amarand in the studio, which is unfortunate because I really do dig the size of this. And in here, there is no plus minus green, which is sorely missing from this unit. Now, one of the things that bugged me here is the fact that you have to purchase the additional V-mount battery separately and wire cable separately for $15. Yes, they do include both the cable and they do include the mount. Good on you, Colbor, for doing that. But I would love to see this included in it. It almost feels like it should be just tossed in. Kind of odd that it's not included and that it is an add-on. Now let's talk about the pros, starting with the case. The case is very nice, and yes, you actually do get a case. It is pretty well constructed. The color and brightness of this light is pretty good. I will say that it kind of feels almost like a camp flashlight. So this is a very specific use device. The fan is very, very, very quiet on this. I was very, very impressed. I was running this for about 15-20 minutes and did not hear the fan. So these things are super quiet. And one of the cool things these lights have is the ability to connect together. And I will say that that is both a pro and a con here because you can really get more power out of this by connecting this. Now, yes, you do have to turn this sideways to connect it. So you will need the phone app to run this. Otherwise, you're going to be tilting your head a whole lot, and it does become very, very difficult to run this without. Now, one of the negatives here is the fact that you have these little locking balls here, and when you slide this on, it's really difficult to first get it on exactly right, although I just nailed it there. But getting this thing off is also a chore, and it is rather rickety. There is a lot of play here. But getting these off, you just kind of have to smack them and pull them apart, which is very, very strange. And something that I've noticed, especially on this model, is that this is actually starting to scratch. There's actually a line already starting to scratch the channel, and some of the outside here is also scratched. So not a great finish on these. Now, moving back over to the pros, this thing has a very excellent master-slave mode, very much like the GVM. I really dig the fact that one can control the other. It gives you a lot of options there. Okay, so let's talk about pros and cons of the RGB version, and pretty much everything is pretty much the same. The problems that the bicolor has, for the most part, this has. The pros that has, mostly this has. So let's talk about, first off, yes, there is a protective glass in front of the cob. That is a plus. I would love to see that on the bicolor. And let's talk about the controls. The controls on this are much, much better. You have the top dial, which moves up and down the menu, and then the bottom dial selects it. I would love to see them implement that on the bicolor version as well. And I would also love to see plus minus green added, because this has plus minus green. But again, it has all the kind of the same faults. Again, the mount is a ratchet mount, so you're gonna have a hard time pointing where you want this to go. That is unfortunate, but there are just some great pros here. Moving on, there are some useful RGB special effects. Now, the RGB is not the brightest in the world, but it is very useful in certain cases. And again, good color, good brightness. It has a pretty decent plus minus green. It works fairly well. So at the end of the day, can I recommend these? And sort of. These are very special use lights. Are they studio lights? No. And they are also because they do not have a hard on-off button. So I would love to see a hard power button put on. And I would also like to see them move some of the stuff from the RGB over to the bicolor, such as the protective screen, the better controls, the plus minus green. I think the jog dials are not great on this one. The jog dials are much better on the RGB. And again, I would love to see them change this yoke to a disc system and not the ratchet system, because again, you are going to have problems. And these do fit together kind of oddly and not very tightly. So maybe some other kind of way of interlocking these would be better. And I would love to see, again, hopefully in a firmware update, we're going to get that curve adjustment where we can go from linear to a different kind of curve. That would be awesome. I'd also like to see kind of like a frequency adjusting in these in case anyone wants to shoot in a high frame rate mode. That would be very, very cool. But mostly, I would like to see most of the stuff that is in here put into here. Now, yes, this does have a fantastic master-slave mode. It works well. Pretty impressed with these. Now, which one would I recommend? Go with the RGB. The controls are just so much better, and you do get the added RGB. Yes, you are getting a little bit less power than the bicolor one, but I would definitely sacrifice power for functionality, and this works a lot better than this. So again, I'd really like to see them implement some of this into here. Are these studio lights? Are they worth it? There are so many lights out on the market that I think are a little bit better. These are definitely, if you need something small, if you need something super durable, you're clumsy like I am and you drop things, these are pretty good. But I just think at $200, for a few $100s more, you might be able to get something a little bit more professional, a little bit more that functions a little bit better. Although I really do like the RGB light. So those are my thoughts, but I want to know yours. So leave your questions and comments in the notes below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to mash the bell button to be notified when we drop a brand new video. And feel free to use the links below as it helps out the channel. I'm Stephen Michael Zach, and these are new to me.